Grizz, is there an intro song or anything?
We're live, guys. We're live.
We're live.
We need the intro when you've got the dream team on. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can tell probably already, I'm hosting.
Yeah.
Gav, it seems as though no, listen, you know what? We can still put the intro in. No one cares.
And the
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and the LFC Daytrippers community.
where's the banners gone off the side?
Okay, here we go. We've got the money on every stage. What's going on here? Right, this is the banners, right? So make a note of that. And here we go. Listen.
This is brilliant already.
I'm going to be honest.
I'm so happy I said yes to come on here tonight.
Look, I'm going to be very honest. Look, honesty is the best policy. Keith is Manscaped thing has arrived today, right? So he's busy, right? As you can imagine, right? And
Especially with that head.
Yeah, and Gav Doyle is a star now, so he's been invited to so many shows, radio shows, TV shows. So the only other option was me, and we wanted to do a preview. So I've taken over hosting duties, and this could go anywhere as it usually does with me hosting. But I couldn't have chosen a better team to help me. I've got the master of ceremonies himself, the hostess with the mostess, Phil Casey with me. Phil, my man. How's lockdown?
Grizz, my lockdown's great. I've been perfecting my Manscaped usage, where I've been getting in at the crack, as opposed to just the balls. No, getting in right in at the crack is the best way to do it, because the ceramic blade won't cut you. That's the most important thing.
No, I'm with you. Thanks, Phil, for that. We got Cal. Everyone knows Cal from Coppish, and helps us out when we need him as well. How you doing, Cal?
Not too bad, brother. It's been a while, man. I'm just happy to be back on the show. It's been ages since I've been on with you guys. So
man, too long.
Absolutely loving it.
Well, just like Gav, you're a superstar as well now. So, trying to get hold of you.
No.
It's a mission.
I've got
you today. And I'm delighted to welcome James Redmond. James, what's happening, pal?
Mate, I'm brilliant. It's great to be joined by everyone here as well, because I love all the content that everyone does here. So definitely going to be enjoying talking about our team.
You're a legend. You're a legend, because I said off air, to help me get along today, I've got the fastest speaking Scouser I know on social media.
Yeah, you'll be all right, mate. You are alarming.
And I've got the fastest speaking Irishman down there. And then I've got Mr. Common Sense and Rationale in power. So, the combination is
the man who keeps everything together, Mr. Shabby Alonso.
This could be absolutely. But lad, I reckon the purpose of this podcast is a look forward to tomorrow's game. I believe it's the fourth game of the Champions League. We play Atalanta, the return fixture, so to speak. I know it's not two legs, but you know what I mean. We played them away, smashed them 5-0, and tomorrow we play them at home. Just wanted you guys to give me your sort of feelings going into this match. Like, are you excited about Champions League? I know normally midweek Champions League games at Anfield, and when we're involved, European heritage and all that, European royalty and that, and there's nothing more exciting. I'm going to be honest. I need you guys to, by the end of this show, get me revved up and ready for tomorrow, because I'm not feeling and I'll get into my reasons. But James, I'm going to come to you first because it's your debut, so we like to put pressure on our debutant straight away.
Pressure creates diamonds, my mate. Pressure creates diamonds.
Yeah, that's it. How are you feeling about tomorrow's game? What's your thoughts around it? Are you excited?
Well, the first thing that you've just mentioned there, my mate, is that you're not excited. I just think it's I understand with the position that we're in, 9 points, and the fact that it doesn't really look like we're going to get caught up. Doesn't look like we're in much danger. but it's still a Champions League night, and I understand football isn't the same with the fact there's no fans, but it's still at Anfield. In fact, it's all the more better that we're actually facing, well, not recently, but usually a decent, exciting team at Anfield. And you know what, mate? I think everything involved in this game should be exciting because it's usually a good game. And what's not exciting about the possibility of winning 5-0 again? They haven't been in great form recently. We've already thrashed them once this season. This time it's at home. Obviously, you can't be naive and just hold on to previous results that you've had against teams before. But one thing that you can do is know that they have got defensive frailties. And that always sets up an exciting game. What's not exciting about seeing, hopefully seeing THIAGO Jota getting a hat-trick against Atalanta, along with Bobby Firmino chipping in with another one on top of, like, I don't know, Gini coming in with one. That's boss. So if we can go in fully aware, and obviously we're going to talk about the lineup and stuff in a bit, I think this can be a really exciting game of football. Maybe not in terms of competitive-wise. Obviously, it's going to be competitive, but more in the sense that I think we can do the job here, but we're skipping ahead there. So yeah,
no, it's fine. It's fine. We're allowed to skip. I skip the fucking intro, like, you know what I mean. Phil, how do you feel, mate? Are you interested in tomorrow's game? Are you going to watch it? Does it clash with you, American football? How do you feel, bro?
I was amazed to find out we were playing tomorrow. Every time I turn on the television, we seem to be playing. I don't know if we can top what happened tonight before the Borussia Dortmund game. Then I think we'll have a great match, because tonight before the Club Brugge player Emmanuel Dennis refused to get on the team bus because he wasn't allowed to sit in his favourite seat. So if we can better that build up, then that's the best ever. Like, honestly, for me, playing Atlantis tomorrow night, you know, with a chance to win and be stuck well into the quarterfinals, wrap the Champions League up, and then you don't even have to turn up for the last two games because nobody's catching you, right? So you can save all your players for then. Champions League, I love the Champions League, but honestly, I don't love football at the moment, Grizz. It's the most soul-destroying thing that I watch on television, and I'll probably, since I think about 18 months ago, I've rarely watched a match live, probably outside of us beating Chelsea to win the league, because I like watching the games, knowing the result, so I can properly see what was going on the pitch. Like, I watched the Leicester game after knowing the result at the weekend. Mm-hmm. And I was interested to see, when I watched it back, Leicester were a lot better than it felt like during the time of the game on Sunday. And like, there was a lot more chances there than you would have given credit to when you're watching the ebb and flow of the game. So I like to watch the games that way. I like to keep up in terms of where the scores is and what's happening, and then go back and watch the game and get a realistic view, knowing what the result is. So you take away all that emotion and sort of pressure from sitting there, the nervousness, and just watch the game and see what's going on. And you can really sort of see how players are performing. You remove bias, you remove all that type of stuff, and it's nice to watch a game that way. So watching the Atlanta game, the only thing is, whenever you see the young players, I get excited when I see new players. Like I tweeted before the game on Sunday about Curtis Jones. I was hoping he'd have a really good game, right? Because he did well last season, and I don't think he was up to the levels this season at all in the matches he played in. He was slow in possession, got caught a few times, and was a bit anonymous through the games. But that Leicester game, he stepped up to a massive level, right? And I really, really, really enjoyed watching him play when I watched it back on Sunday, because you could see everything that he was involved in. He was a quiet assassin throughout the first 20, 30 minutes of the game, and then he just brings himself in, but he was a lot quicker, a lot more efficient, and a lot more ruthless with the way he was playing the game itself, and gave a lot more defensively. And it's great seeing that. And I actually thought Nico Williams put in a decent sort of cameo as well towards the back end of the game when he had to as well, and they moved Milner into the centre of the park when Keita goes off injured. So to me, those things are really interesting to watch, because you remove the bias, you remove the lenses, and you can just judge the game for what it is without having to worry about what the result is going to be.
You know what? You make a very good point in terms of Curtis Jones. The rest of the points I didn't get. But you made a very good you make a very good point about Curtis Jones, because you're right, and he's one of a group of youngsters that seems to have taken more responsibility on. Group of the team, younger players like Trent himself, that have automatically taken on more responsibility, seem more mature since the VVD incident. And it's brilliant to see. You're right. I was with you about Curtis Jones. I used to often ask, what can he bring to this team that's different from what we've got, especially the position he plays. But you're right. I think it was a coming-of-age type performance, because, Klopp trusted him. I know we've got injuries, whatever, but he could have still played a couple of more formations, whatever, that didn't include him, but he included him. So that's a vote of confidence. And B is up against a very good, as you said, Leicester midfield. Everyone's talking about Tielemans. Everyone's talking about Maddison. Everyone's talking about they've got a little Mendy guy in there who's tenacious. You know, can't remember the other midfielder's name top of my head, but you know they've got a decent midfield. Cal, what's your feelings going into tomorrow about where we are? Where's our team? Are you excited?
So yeah, you know what? So I've got to echo a couple of the points that James and Phil both made, which I think were really good. So James, you're speaking about Atalanta's form. You're right. Since we beat them 5-0, they've drawn twice. They've drawn against Inter, and then I think it was Spazia's. I think they've drawn at.
Yeah, they're a newly
0-0.
promoted side as well.
Yeah. So they've not looked good. I think Ilic is still not available because of personal things that are happening. He's their talisman. So
was he not back on the weekend?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought I read he was.
He still don't seem right. And then with what you were saying, Phil, I'm just like you. So but the only slight difference is I actually watch the games live, but then I'll go and watch the full rerun on LFC TV after midnight. My missus hates it, but she's used to it now. I mean, you got to take the good with the bad in it, and this is obviously the bad for her. But I like to do that as well because I think sometimes when you're watching a game and you're just caught up in it, there's things you just don't notice, and when you get to watch it back live after knowing the result, there's no pressure, there's no emotion. You completely see a new perspective of the game, and I absolutely love it. I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to that sort of stuff because I really get deep into it and I look at certain players and where they stand in terms of positioning and stuff like that. Grizz, how do I get you excited for this game? Or put it this way, Grizz. The last time we played them, we beat them 5-0. They still had chances, but we still ran away with the game. This time, Salah's had a rest, so he's probably going to start, and we're obviously going to talk about lineups, etc. Anfield Champions League Wednesday night. I shouldn't even have to say anything else. And Grizz, Samba Star started to score again, Grizz. Hold on, mate. The touches are back. How can you not be excited, Grizz? We can secure Champions League next stage already and rest players. I can't wait. I can't wait for the game.
Mate, if that Bobby turns up against Leicester City, then I am excited, and I will tell you that for free because he was another level. Like that was Bobby reincarnated.
That is Bobby. That's Bobby.
Like, that's Bobby. And like when people come in and they say like, well, Bobby's done, Bobby's this, Bobby's that. It's like that's just shown all of that. Everything that everyone's just been talking about over the past year or so is BS. It's BS, exactly. Mate. Bobby has still 100. Got it when he turns up. And you know what, mate? He's shown that against Leicester. And I think he alone is a more than a good enough reason to be excited for tomorrow.
Exactly.
Because why not be excited off the back of what was an absolutely terrific performance?
No, listen, let me give context to my feelings because I think I didn't explain myself. When I say I'm not excited about tomorrow, I'll take that back because I am excited. You always get excited. You say you're not excited, but you know when the game comes around and you see all the tune of the Champions League go off, the anthem, you get excited and everything. My concern is with our situation of injuries. My concern is I really think we've got this group locked off. It's just the fact that I'm so scared, guys. Like I'm nervous to lose. I know it's not the professional way of looking at it, but you can't help yourself when you've got the injuries and the players missing we have. For me, to win this league this season after everything that's happened will be the greatest achievement by any coach ever. And I genuinely mean that. And that's why I'm desperate to go back to back. And Brighton is in my focus. Now, James, if you was Jurgen Klopp and you was in charge of the team tomorrow, would you have Brighton in mind with your selection? Now, I know every coach says you pick your team for the game that you're facing. But realistically, they don't, do they? He's going to have an eye on Brighton. What would you do?
I think you're right. He's got to have an eye on Brighton. And not just Brighton, but just going forwards. One thing Jurgen Klopp came out with this week, he was talking about the run of fixtures and just like he was obviously saying to BT, like, obviously, I know that you need to show football matches, you need to cover football, but like the way that you're setting this out, like we're playing on Wednesday, then we're playing on 12:30 on Saturday, like we won't have enough players to be able to complete this season. That's what we're trying to tell you. We're not saying play less matches, just space them out better for us, because right now the way that you know, whoever it is setting the rules, the way that they're adapting, for us, they're not allowing us to adapt to the situation. And even though Liverpool are so fortunate to be in a position where we have got some really good squad depth, something that we didn't have a few years ago. So the fact that we're in this position now, we are fortunate, but at the same time, when something can be done about it, when you can include 2 extra substitutes, which actually make the world of difference, when you can include implement so many things that can change the situations with injuries. And I don't want to bang on about them for too much, but it's just a bit shocking to me. As for the game tomorrow, Jurgen Klopp has to adapt. And I'm talking about all these people who are setting the rules adapting. Jurgen Klopp has now got to adapt to the situation that he's been set. And Jurgen Klopp's very good at adapting. And that's one thing we've saw so far in this crisis. As for tomorrow, I think he's got no other option. In fact, God bless that we won them first 3 games of the Champions League. And everyone, because now we've made these last 3 games, the fact that we haven't, I don't even know how many more it is it 2 draws that we have to get to guarantee the top position? Like, it just, and 2 of them are at home. It just shows, like, this is the prime position to be able to rest players. However, we haven't got that many players to rest, though, because most of them are out. You've got half of the first team out, then you've got a lot of the second team out. So it's a bit of a weird one when it says come and rest the team, because a lot of the players aren't even eligible to play in the Champions League that we could try and fit into this game or squeeze into this game. So even though there is some players back, I just think if it's me, I include people like Shimikas, for example, because I think like a Shimikas over Robbo, with Robbo who's been playing an excessive amount of minutes at a very high level, by the way. And you know, if you tell Robbo to drop like 10%, he's probably only going to add more. Like, and that's just the type of player that Robbo is. He's hungry like that. I'd love to see him rested, mate. I'd love to see him because he deserves it. And it'd be the worst thing to see him get injured anytime soon. So when you talk about changes, a Shimikas for Robbo would be a good one. When you talk about Nico Williams as well, he's shown good signs. He'd be a good player to bring in. Them type of changes, I think, will be crucial for tomorrow and crucial going into Saturday against Brighton.
So it seems James is happy with sort of a couple of change, a few youngsters thrown in there, along with sort of the more experienced players. Phil, if you was Jurgen Klopp, tomorrow priority, full strength, get the job done, and make those use of those 5 subs, or rest Matip, rest Fabinho. You know, your key players. We've hardly got any midfielders apart from Ginny, who's played probably about 2.5 million minutes already this season. How would you go about tomorrow, with bearing in mind you got Brighton at midday Saturday?
First of all, lots of words were said, and there was lots of bigging up Firmino, who's managed to score his 4th goal in I think about 4 years. Like, to be honest with you, right? There's of all the things that have gone on here tonight,
This is Phil Unleashed, Cal. This is Phil Unleashed.
I am most.
You will get your chance. You will get your chance.
Eventually, he managed to turn up in one game and score a goal. Brilliant. I saw Eric Moyer score a goal once for Liverpool. Like, this is what we got into at this point in time, right? This guy hopefully has gotten the kick up the hole that he needed, because his performances up until the Leicester game was abysmal for the best part of 8 months. He'd gone to shite. He couldn't hold on to the ball, and he was doing fuck all on the pitch. Let's be honest about this, right? Now, it's great to see that he did turn in a decent performance, but he should have scored a hat-trick. Like, if we're going to be really critical, the fella should have scored a hat-trick. He missed a good few chances, and he scores a decent header. I'll take that, and let's see if he pushes on. And hopefully he pushes on. So would I play him against Atalanta? I would, mainly because if he's in a bit of form, you don't want to take him out. And he's a streaky striker. He'll score a few goals for a few games, and then he'll stop, and then it's time to take him out of the team. And the one thing we have now with Jota and Mane and Salah, it gives us the opportunity to be able to take him out and keep giving him those prods when he needs them. Because up until now, he hasn't had the stick. He's always had the carrot, but he's never had the stick when it's come to this thing, right? But in this game itself, in the defence, I think we're very limited, Grizz. I think we've got about 16 proper senior pros, and you've got to pick your 11 from those players. And it'd be lovely to be able to say, let's change this player, let's throw this fella in, let's throw that fella in. But in reality, whatever we have in defence, we have to go with. And the fact is, if we have more players close to getting back in time for the Brighton game, then let's go with the 11 that we have for tomorrow. So if that means Matip, Fabinho at centre backs, and you play your Milner and you play Robertson at left back, then at least you've got Nico Williams, you've got Tsimikas. You hopefully have more midfielders coming in at the weekend. You've got Henderson coming back. Hopefully THIAGO is close to being fit as well, that can come back in from the Brighton game. But these players, we know, if they've done the job against Leicester, can get us over the hill against Atalanta. If we get over the hill against Atalanta, you can play the under-11s. You can play the team that played against Villa in the League Cup last year when we were off winning World Club Championships at this stage for the last 2 games. And that's a bigger break for these set of players at that point, to be able to just completely rest in 11 at that point in time in your last 2 Champions League games, which are going to be slap bang at the start of that really stupid spell that they've created around Christmas this year. Yeah. So that to me is a much bigger reward for this group of players if they can get the 3 points tomorrow night, because we will have more bodies close to being fit by the time we get around to the weekend, which allows us then to change a bit more and give us more options to change here. Okay, fair enough. Cal, so Phil's made a few points about there. It's Phil's.
I'm still recovering.
Let me give you some context. Let me step this up for you in terms of your opinion on the Bobby scenario, and then the rest of the points about sort of how would you go about tomorrow. So look, I think Phil's entitled to his opinion, but I think Phil's got a very good point about Bobby has been poor. I think we all agree he's been out of form. Now there's a difference. There's a few layers of fans, isn't there? There's the ones that say, "Oh, Bobby's finished, kick him out, sell him, flog him." Then there's the ones that are like me, sensible, rational, logical, and right, that say, "Look, he's been out of form, and hopefully he comes back to the Bobby that we know, and everything will be rosy." Because, like, how did Klopp describe him today? Something about instruments,
orchestra.
Right, I'll let you say it. And then we got super fans like you, Cal, about Bobby, because we know you love Bobby. You carry a mask around about Bobby, so we know he goes to work like that. I know you go. So there's 3 levels of Bobby, right? Fans and opinions, right? I'm going to let you have your say on the Bobby scenario overall. Would you play him tomorrow because of as Phil says, he scored a goal. He's a streaky kind of striker, and he's in form. And then generally, what would you do tomorrow? Like, sort of not select a team, but generally, what would you sort of thoughts about tomorrow?
What I will say is, Phil, if this was a boxing match and you speak about Bobby, then I'd have been stopped by the referee because you absolutely destroyed it. Shall I tell you what it is about Bobby? I completely understand everything Phil said, and I understand it, because again, I was getting really frustrated with him as well. My thing with Bobby is he's not a number 9. He will never be a number 9. And he'll never be a clinical striker. So I've accepted that. What I don't accept from Bobby when he's not playing well is when he gets sitters and he misses those. So I don't think that's an excuse for any footballer. But when he sort of plasters with the tag of, oh, he's not getting Aguero numbers, I'm like, okay, fair enough. But he's not Aguero. He's never been an out-and-out number 9. And plus, the way Man City's team set up, Aguero gets service from the wingers, whereas Bobby is the one who provides service for our wingers. So that being said, I think Bobby gets a lot of harsh criticism, but I think that Leicester game just showed that, as the saying goes, form is temporary, class is permanent. I genuinely think Bobby is a fantastic footballer.
Just to interrupt you, David Lennon makes an interesting point that I've thought about as well this morning. I was thinking about this. He says Bobby's been poor. Personally, he feels he misses the atmosphere, because Bobby's about passion. Bobby's about showmanship. Bobby's about not impressing the crowd, but he's your original.
The showman. Yeah,
he's a showman. Is there something in that?
Maybe at the beginning, but I don't think that's an excuse to use now. If that is the case, I think all the players should have been able to adapt by now, and I can't use that as an excuse for Bobby. What I will say with him though is he looked like he had lost his smile. He didn't seem happy on the pitch, whereas against Leicester, he seemed happy, even though he didn't score until like the dying minutes of the game. He still looked happy. He looked vibrant. He was making things happen. Even his hold-up play before that Leicester game was very, very shoddy.
Yeah.
His hold-up play in this game, he was getting the ball and he was making the right decisions. He was taking an extra touch when he needed to. He was popping it off when he needed to. So he just made things look a lot better. And when Bobby's playing well, the whole team plays well. And I think that's what the key is there. And don't get me wrong, Liverpool can still win without Bobby playing well. We've done it for the last how many months. But when he plays well, it just makes it a lot easier. In terms of the Atalanta game, as much as I think Klopp will go strong, I hope he doesn't. And the reason I say that is because we need to restart some of our players. And you made a great point about Gini. I couldn't tell you the last time Gini had a rest, club or country.
That's what I'm saying. He's been doing bits for the country as well. He's been scoring goals for.
It's crazy. He needs a break. And same with Robbo. So you have to find a way of giving them a break. And I think this provides that chance for Jurgen to give them a break, because let's be honest, Atalanta are a good team, but we should still be able to beat them. We should still have enough with rotation to be able to beat them. It might not be a pretty game. It might not be an emphatic win, but even worst case scenario, we get a draw, then we're still good. So for me, I would go, I don't want to use the word weaker, but I wouldn't go full strength.
Okay, that's fair enough. Go on, Phil. You're going to add something. You wanted to say something?
I was just going to say, like, again, it would be great to think that we had a load of players to go and pick from, but the reality is we don't. So you're potentially looking at even a slight change in your system. If you're trying to accommodate the fact that you're missing so many midfielders, you're maybe looking at 2 midfielders. Yeah, or even the 4-2 or the 4-2-4. You know, the one where he drops one of them in deep. Plays even Minamino, or like ideally you'd have Shaqiri in that role. Like this is the thing that's
exactly. Shaqiri is such a huge miss, and I think people like when I didn't see him on the bench against Leicester, I'm like, no, that's huge, and I'm thinking because I didn't see any reason to why he was out for that game, and I didn't find out till after. And when I found out that he was injured, I was like, if that's actually serious, that's so huge, especially when Keita went off as well, because Keita's just came back. We saw the influence that he was having in that Leicester game as well. The fact that he was kind of... And Naby Keita, he's one of them who, in my opinion at least, he needs a run of games to really show himself in a Liverpool shirt. That's my opinion on Naby Keita. And now, even the fact he's just got another injury is really not ideal. When you talk about, like obviously, Callum's just done all the talking for Bobby Firmino. That really needs to be talked about. But when you talk about Firmino, it is really true. When he's playing well, your team goes from like a very, very good attacking team to the point where, like, you know, your players can get in behind and stuff. But when Firmino's playing like he was yesterday, and I always say this, I think it's fine and absolutely fine to criticise a player on his performance on that day. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, regardless even what he's been doing. Like, say if he's been doing really good stuff, like Rashford, who's been doing the utmost of amazing work and stuff. But if you criticise his performance on that one individual day, I think that's okay. Same with players like it was Nico Williams a few weeks ago who got some of the stick in the Lincoln game a couple of months ago, should I say. Bobby Firmino's been getting that because he hasn't been putting that as a consistent level. Fair enough. But one thing Bobby can do, and one thing that he's shown in that Leicester game, is that when he's actually turning up and giving up, and he's not getting the easy, but he does so much that you don't see. I think Bobby is genuinely being poor over the past few months. But you cannot forget when he turns up what he adds to your team. And he's shown that against Leicester. I think he's important. And the fact that he's reliable, people don't talk about enough how reliable Bobby is. We talk about minutes. Bobby is someone who's an attacker, playing around rough defenders in the Premier League, and he stays in the team. He stays in the team. And he does it at a sound level, not recently, but you're still better with Bobby than without Bobby. So all that,
My segue was going to be about what we've just discussed, a couple of players, and it was basically around sort of Phil made the point earlier that unfortunately, as much as we'd like to rotate, we haven't got much options. And one of the reasons for that is, of course, we've got we know the stalwarts of the team, the spine of the team in terms of VVD, Gomez, THIAGO, Hendo being missing. Have I missed anyone out of the spine of the team? Right. Added on to that, when you get injuries like that, you expect your squad players to come in, a la your Keitas, your Matips, all right, Matips back in, your Shakiris, your Regis, whatever. And Ox, another squad player that should be utilizing this time. And this is the time where you lean on them, right? In the situations like this, you lean on your squad players like, come on, bail us out. We paid good money for you. A lot of you have been on the peripherals. Now's the time to get into the team. Again, we've come to a point where we've got injuries and these guys are not available. Phil, I'm going to unleash you on people. They heard you about Bobby, and now I'm going to unleash you on especially one player that I've mentioned, and I'm not going to spoil it for everyone. What do we do with these players that are never available? Now, I'm not personally attacking them. If they're injured and it's not their fault, there's nothing we can do. But from a Liverpool fan point of view, these players were brought in to help Liverpool, and they're all quality players. But if they're not available, Phil, what do we do with these guys?
One of the core values we've had over the last 3 years is the reliability of essentially of the first 14 players, right? So we haven't had to rely on the squad depth as much, which meant that Klopp could gamble and not have to sign multiple players in the summer. He could just pick the quality and pick a better player to keep improving the squad as it goes along. Sadly, however, with the injuries that we picked up, which is inevitable, like we think we were missing Alisson at one point of the season as well this year. Like this isn't just one player or two players that's gone out. We've missed a massive amount of our players. The international break is criminal. The club should be suing the international FAs at this stage in terms of what the players are being put through. But I look at it and I say, when we spend 50 odd million on a player that we waited a season to get, and his injury record is quite frankly a big pile of bollocks, then there's no point. We should have cashed in on him in the summertime when there was still residual value. I honestly think Keita is arguably one of the worst signings we've ever made, and it's not to do with his talent level. It's to do with the fact that he's continually unavailable, and especially at big times, at big moments in the season, right?
Do you think that you're saying that too soon, though, Phil?
No, I don't, man, because like he's dialed it in a few games as well when he was coming back. He dialed it in against Napoli in his second season when he was there. He's dialed it in I have to question the robustness of the player's own mentality when it comes to picking up knocks and stuff. Some players can play through injuries. I'd say Henderson would run through a brick wall until his legs stop running and he just physically can't do it, right? The same for Milner's. You can chop Milner's leg off. It won't make a difference the way he strikes the ball.
Look at Ginny Wijnaldum.
Wijnaldum was playing.
Mane as well.
It does, and even Salah, like we know that Salah has had knocks and hamstrings and groins and stuff like that, and he's just played through. And I'd say if you had given Salah a chance, he would have come back with COVID and all, and just said, "Look, I'll wear a mask and play the match in a mask. I'll do whatever." Whatever he did
say that.
Fair play, but like to me, there's a level that goes onto this when you consider how much money we spent, the period that we waited to get the player in, and the expectation of the impact he was going to have on the team, and that doesn't come around. Whenever I look at, say, THIAGO, I can't judge THIAGO in the same way, mainly because THIAGO is brutalised in that Everton game and is lucky to be still walking around. I still can't figure out how he hasn't had serious damage to that knee. And the fact that he's out for so long would say to me that he actually took a lot more damage than they originally thought, or it's taken longer to heal, or there was some damage to his cartilage or something like that still is yet to settle down. And that's led to this enforced absence, because we're heading into 5-6 weeks nearly at this stage in terms of since he played against Everton. And it doesn't surprise me. He was literally he was subject to GBH on that day. And if that happened to you on the street, the fellow would be going down. He'd be doing time for what he did, right? So that's a difference in terms of what's there. But I just, every time, the frustration for me with Naby is he is incredibly talented. The night we beat Chelsea to win the league, that goal that he pings into the top corner is phenomenal, right? You look at him for 30 minutes of that game against Leicester, and he's doing all the things that you're looking for a midfielder to come in and do. In 50 minutes, you could see the frustration in the player himself. But sometimes,
that was ugly emotion.
But Grizz, you look at it, we signed Ox. Ox had a horrific injury record at Arsenal, right? And we were hoping that with our physios and that he'd come through and he'd get over the far side of it. Yet he's come to Liverpool, and again, he's been mangled by injuries, right? And sometimes players are just like that. Lallana came in and got 2 sort of seasons injury-free, and then the rest of his time was spent picking up, going through knocks. Shaqiri, for whatever reason, his body type or whatever it's going on, he's constantly picking up knocks. These players, at times you have to cut your losses, but in the situation that we're in and with the injuries that we have and the games that we have, you could see we tried to clear them out and we just couldn't. There wasn't buyers there for them. The teams weren't prepared to spend the money, and we were hoping that they would offer something to the squad. And sadly, when we get down to this situation, you are going to look at what we have and who's reliable for you. And the one thing that Klopp seems to like and always holds up front is the availability and reliability of the players, because they're the ones that always hang around the squads. Right, and it's great. It's great to see the likes of Jones and Nico Williams and fellas like that step up, because they're the players that are going to profit from the injuries that the other lads are picking up, because they're the ones who are going to cement their place in the squad over these fellas.
No, great. Some very good points there. I kind of agree in terms of, look, if the guys are not available, they're no use. Their talent is of no use to Liverpool Football Club. There's no one doubting their talent. None. I don't think any of us would say sell them or on the basis of their talent. There's arguments sort of in years gone by about Lovren, Lallana, that we kept onto them. Sturridge even a year too much, because we kind of saw them started missing games. Cal, what's your opinion on the squad players, and in terms of the frustration behind their lack of being available in times like this? Because this is why we built this squad for, right? So Edwards and Klopp, the last 2-3 years, have built this magnificent squad for these squad players to come in handy. But again, they're just not available. Matip's been sort of touch wood. He's come back to fitness. What's your views, and what would you do with the named players?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I've got to agree with a lot of what Phil said, to be honest. So obviously on the channel, you've been on the channel, Grizz and James, you've been on the channel with us when we spoke about Cater, and obviously you'll know Matt's a massive Cater fan. Drifty not so much, and I'm sort of in between. When I saw Cater go down, it was just like, we're back here again. Like, when is this going to stop? And it's as Phil said, it's happening in big moments, big occasions. Like, he showed us glimpses. Like, we could make a great YouTube collection of highlights of Naby Keita, and he'd look like a world-class centre midfielder. But when you've been watching him since he's been at Liverpool, and you see that he'll have one good game, then he may have a bad game, and then he'll be out injured for the next 4 or 5, it's very difficult to get on board. And you think back to post-lockdown, after we sort of won the league, he was arguably our best player for the ending of last season. But in the first game against Leeds, he looked like he was running in custard. Midfielders at Leeds were leaving him behind, and you're thinking, hold on, we've just come back off pre-season. Why are you looking so unfit? What's going on? And he just didn't look right. And then we look at him now, and it's like, okay, you're playing really well against Leicester. Let's keep this going. And boom, he gets struck with another injury. And it's just like, you look at him, you look at Ox, you look at Shaqiri, and even those three themselves as a midfield trio would be a very good midfield trio, but they can't get minutes together.
Walk into most teams in the Premier League.
And then you think Ox, for example, and again, I hear what you're saying in terms of selling him on, in terms of Keita and Shaqiri. We tried to definitely sell Shaqiri in the summer. But the thing with Keita, I don't think we can sell Keita at this point now, because if it looks as though Gini's going to go, I hope he doesn't, but it looks like it's going to happen. Milner might be leaving in the summer as well, potentially. If we lose one of Keita or Ox or both, that's 4 centre midfielders we're losing, which is, we can't do that, because we can't replace 4 centre midfielders in one summer. And I know we've got the likes of Jones coming through, but I don't think there's anyone else in the youth team really banging down the door to say, right, I can step up. I mean, you've got Leighton Clarkson, you've got Jake Kane, but I don't think they're ready just yet, whereas Jones was ready. So it put a lot of pressure on them. And then you think, all right, we may get 30 mil for Keita if we're lucky. Are we going to be able to go and get another centre midfield for 30 million that's going to be as talented and stay fit and then be willing to play rotation? I don't know. So it's going to be really difficult getting rid of some of these players if we are going to do that. I just wish we could keep them fit, because if we had Keita or Ox, even if we just had one of them now, we could rotate that midfield and we'd be fine. And Shaqiri, for example, we could rotate the front three a bit more. Yeah. It's just annoying.
Look, so taking into consideration the lack of possible rotation tomorrow, let's look at, so we start trying to select a team tomorrow, right, guys? And so let's look out for the players that we 100% want rested tomorrow. So I think we're all in agreement that Robertson, I think, James, you said it as well, that Robertson definitely gets rested tomorrow. And it's a perfect game for Simicast. Go on.
He's just sent his country to the Euros, mate. Like, let him have a rest. He literally got injured and then came back and played another game for them. Like, he plays every game for Liverpool. Give him a rest. And it's just, I'm waiting, and obviously, touch wood, me table's made out of wood, that he doesn't. But it's only a matter of time before he does get something. Like, do you know, like the way that he gets that little injury for Scotland? I think that happens eventually with Liverpool, with the amount that not only he plays, but the fact that he puts in 110% week in, week out. And this instance, twice week in, week out. So, give him a rest, because we can afford to do so.
Absolutely. I think it's the first time in a long time that I felt comfortable with our backup to Robertson. Definitely. I mean, we've had these pretenders to the crown in terms of Larouci. We've had Milner play there. We had that local lad. What was his name? He's gone out on loan.
Adam Lewis.
Yeah, so we've had pretenders to the crown in terms of the backups. I think we finally have a player who we feel comfortable in sort of replacing Robertson.
I don't think we can.
You don't. You would play Robertson again tomorrow, and okay, go on.
The sole reason is our style of play rests around the fullbacks, and with Trent out, you're offset in terms. If you take Robertson now and you've no THIAGO to allow us to play through the middle, we're limiting ourselves in terms of what we can do with the front three up top. So there's a whole lot of, if you keep taking lads out all the time, right? Eventually it impacts how you're going to perform.
But we don't need to win this game, though, Phil, is what
Yeah.
I'm trying to say. So it's not like we do want to win it, of course. Like, if we win it, then it gets us over the line. But we need to win that Brighton game more. And what I think is a big shame, and I'm not saying you're wrong, I just think it's a shame when, if a Robbo plays tomorrow and gets injured, he didn't need to play that game. He didn't. And I understand he adds a lot to our attacking force. Hence why I'm saying I want to keep him fit for the games that we need points right now, people. We need points in the league. We don't need points in that group stage.
Tsimikas can replicate a lot of what Robbo does as well.
That's it.
We
don't know. We don't know if Tsimikas can do it, because you know why? He's been on the injury table with the rest of the lads.
But he's actually just got a lot of minutes for Greece, though. He's just played minutes in his
He had COVID as well. He did have COVID.
He had COVID, he had rabies. He had his leg torn off. He had 2 fingers chopped off at one stage. They replaced his arm. He's going to walk out like.
Phil is savage.
I think tomorrow.
Phil is savage.
No, Phil. I think this is a case of Phil hasn't watched Tsimikas play yet. I think
I have.
All right. Well, you didn't. You watched it. Did you? You watched him live. You didn't watch it afterwards. This is the mistake that you made. You know. If you watched him afterwards and analysed him, you could say he's an absolute clone for Robertson. Now, I'm not saying he is, but he's got a potential to be a very good replacement for Robertson. And the only time we'll find out, Phil, is when we play him. And this is the perfect scenario. As James says, there is not that much pressure on us, lads.
Okay,
There's not that much pressure on us.
Who are we playing right back?
So this is it. So we're going. So look, we'll pick our own individual teams. All right. So we'll go through our individual. But first, we need to talk about, as I said, the players that are must rest.
Okay.
And we all agree. I think the overwhelming vote is we must rest Robertson. Now, I would have said Matip as well, but he done the press conference, which means and indicates he will start. Now, I've got a feeling we may go 45 minutes each with Matip and Fabinho alongside Reece Williams. Thoughts, Callum?
Okay, so for me, I'd actually rest Fabinho instead of Matip. I know Matip is the more injury-prone player out of the two, but Fabinho just come back from a hamstring injury and he's kind of rushed back. So we don't want to aggravate that. Hence, that's why I think he would be rested as opposed to Matip in this particular game. Williams, has to start. Unfortunately, Nat Phillips can't play because he's not registered in Champions League. And then again, Billy Comesio, I don't think he can play, or I don't think he's had enough minutes. You look at a couple of other, again, I don't think Sepp Vandenberg's in the squad either. The other centre-back, you're maybe looking at Remy Savage, and I think that's a big ask for a youth player to just be thrown into this game as well.
Sorry, me to shout, ah!
So I think it's got to be Matip as opposed to Fabinho. I don't want to see 45 minutes each. I'd just go Matip 90. Yeah,
really?
I'd rest Fabinho. Yeah, I would. I'd rest Fabinho full stop.
I've got a sneaky feeling, just a sneaky feeling. This is not information based before people start tweeting me. I've got a sneaky feeling he may play Fabinho in midfield tomorrow because of the lack of options and dress Gini. So that's a sneaky feeling. Right back.
I think that's a huge gamble if he does. Because you need to sort of counterbalance yourself at the moment. I play Reece Williams and I play I'm going to play Matip alongside him, but I'm going to put Fabinho on the bench because the likelihood is Matip's played, I think, 3 games this season, which is 3 games more than we probably would have expected to see him play this by Christmas. So we need to make sure that we have an option to come in at centre-back. Otherwise, we'll end up in the position that I was saying, that we don't play Fabinho there, that we play James Milner at centre-back, because I still think that there's a job there for Jimmy Milner to play centre-back for us. But honestly, I think honestly, I would rather see I'd play Matip and Williams. Hopefully Matip gets through, builds up some resistance here. But my worry is that eventually we're going to get it. Matip's going to pick up an injury. Like we know he is. So
this is why I'd risk just for 45 minutes. I honestly, guys, I would rotate the centre backs. Nico Williams at right back. I think James Milner probably goes into midfield. It's one of the few options we have. I think Nico Williams. Look.
James Melonzo, I call him. James Melonzo. We don't call him James. We don't call him James Milne anymore. We call him James Melonzo.
Passes into the forwards, right? Oh yes. They're full of sauce. But look,
Indeed.
Nico Williams, another young player, has started off like a house on fire, then had a little rough patch, as all youngsters do. And then you know what social media is like. They all fucking jumped on his head. Bunch of pricks. Shout out to the bunch of pricks on social media that get on our players. But look, now he's back. He's played a couple of good games for Wales. These are the games, again, very much like Tsimikas. These are the reasons why we've got these players around the first team squad, that they come in handy. What do you do in midfield, James?
Midfield. Well, I agree that we should probably go with 2 in the midfield and offload more of our attackers to do what they want to do. I think the midfield right now is probably our position where it's just very weak right now, and it's mad because at the start of the season we were like, well, we've got too many midfielders, so apparently we just didn't have too many midfielders because of the situation. But now I think it's hard to look at a game where James Milner doesn't play at the moment. So I'm struggling to keep him out the side. But when you've got no THIAGO, no Henderson, etc., your star players, Genie, in my opinion, will play. Whether I want him to play or not, a different story. Genie will play this game. I think he does play a lot of minutes, but he's showing that he can play a lot of minutes. And again, listen, mate, we don't need to start our best players. The only unfortunate thing is a lot of our best players have injured, and a lot of the players that will replace them are also injured. Therefore, we are in a bit of a predicament where even though Genie could afford to be rested regardless of the result, we haven't really got anyone to put in there. Now, that's naive to say, but I just think with the system, we are going to still want to win this game. Genie's going to be huge for that. Next to him, I think probably Milner. Even though some people would say rest him, but with the fact Milner hasn't played much this season, let's be honest, mate, he might be old, but he's fit as a fiddle. He's probably the fittest player in that squad. He can afford to play back-to-back games time and time again, in my opinion. I feel like James Milner, he's just one of them. He's superhuman, mate, and whatever position you put him in, you're going to get a very solid performance. And I think that midfield does work against Atalanta regardless who your fullbacks are, because they'll be able to help them fullbacks as well in terms of cutting in and switching with them. So Genie Wijnaldum and James Milner for the 2.
Phil, what do we do with our midfield? No THIAGO, no Henderson, no Ox, no Keita. What'd you do?
Henderson's definitely got out, yeah?
Yeah. What the hell do we do with our midfield? I mean, that's 4 midfielders we've picked, thought of, named, that are just fantastic. They are just, we're left with Genie, as we said, played 2.5 million minutes. We've got Milner, who's just Milner, isn't he? He's Superman. He can play, as you said, anywhere on the pitch. And Curtis Jones played Sunday, young player, play him again, and then possibly need him again on the weekend.
See, the problem is that Milner ideally would be playing right back or whatever, do you know what I mean? So you wouldn't have to play Nico Williams there if you're going to play the Greek lad, and that's why I think Robertson's going to play at left back. I think there's too many changes if you have to move Milner back into midfield because of the situation with the midfield. So he won't want to disrupt the back four too much, because if you're playing with less of a shield in front of you, you want to have as strong a back four as possible that's sitting there. So I think you're down to numbers. So I think it's going to be Milner. I think it's going to be Wijnaldum. But I think the one is I don't think Jones plays. I think you'll have Jones on the bench as an option to replace one of those two, and he'll play Minamino as the third midfielder.
Whoa.
Because he was picking up Minamino in the press conference, saying that he's been absolutely flying and training, and he's ready to come in and make a contribution to this team, and he's progressing nicely. And I think that in this game, given that they set up a 3 at the back and they play wing backs, right, and they have a 10 behind, they either play one up front and your man's a Pat, and we haven't talked about him, he's a fucking quality player, he is, but in reality I think he'll look to exercise the gap that exists between their sort of 4 that they sit across the midfield, and look to have Minamino just playing behind there, which would then freeze up the 3 in front of him, whichever 3 he decides to play out of 4 lads.
Cal, over to you in midfield, man.
Midfield, I'd actually go Milner, Genie and Jones. I do want Genie to get a rest, but I think if you take Genie out, I think you lose that dynamic and athleticness you get in midfield with Genie. Plus, if you're looking at holding players, as great as Millie is, you wouldn't really say he's a holding midfielder or can play that role that well, whereas Genie has proven time and time again he plays that role really, really well. Milner, I think he needs to play because you need that leadership quality in the team. Not saying Genie or some of the other players don't have it, but it's proven when Henderson or Milner plays that the levels just really stay high because they don't take any crap. And then obviously you've got Jones, who I think could just build on his last performance and just hopefully continue to build and continue to play well. He could be that creative linchpin. Plus, he's a midfielder who can give you a shot from outside the box, which isn't something we've had over the years when Ox isn't playing. So that would be my midfield three.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I think we're pretty unanimous. Reluctantly, I think that Gini has to play. Even though personally, again, I think probably I speak for all of us that ideally he's the first person we'd rest tomorrow. And then going into the forward line, again, some hard decisions for Klopp there. What does he do? James,
I think. Let me jump in, Chris. I'll start stuff. I think he gives Mane a rest. Like he's in a very fortunate position that we haven't had before, where he can actually rest the front three. Mane again, he's just looked that little bit off the edge that he has been for the best part of a year in terms of his own standards. We've got Salah coming back after an enforced rest from COVID, right? And you've got Jota who's on fire, and we've got Firmino who's just scored a goal. Firmino, according to James Pearce, is fine. There's no issues. Although he didn't train, there's no issues. So for me, that's who I'd go, and I'd give Mane, be able to bring Mane off from the bench, given how fired up he is in those situations. And we've seen him come off the bench and make a massive difference to a game. I've absolutely no issues in terms of doing that. And it also allows us to keep Jota continuing on, because if he's in a rich vein of form, use it. Let's get the goals up, get his confidence up. And again, he had great fun against Atlantis in the last game. And now look at him, like, why wouldn't you let him run free in this one?
Okay. Jota to carry on. Keep playing him through. James? Forward line?
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I was going to have Mane in there, but Phil's just really kind of opened my eyes that, again, we don't necessarily...
Phil does that to people.
Nah, it's just the perspective that, yeah, as much as important as Mane is to the team and the offensive front, I just think that for this one game, when you've got a fit and firing Jota, who, like Phil said, is on fire, he's scoring goals, he's confident, you keep that. And obviously I know that they've been playing on different sides and stuff like that, but the point that I'm trying to get to is, if Mane doesn't play tomorrow, that's one less player, one less crucial player that you have to worry about possibly being injured from that squad. We know if Mane gets injured from that squad, you're losing so much more than what you've already lost as well. Like, you've lost so much as it is, but now you're just losing basically like the... say
what you think about Mane, because we know what you think about Mane. It's been viral.
Mate, say it. I'll say it again, and I'll say it for free. Sadio Mane is the best player in world football, and when you have the best player in world football, you need him to play football matches. I think tomorrow he doesn't need to play that one football match because we've got games in the league to worry about. So my front four, I'll go for... I'll say Jota, Firmino, Minamino, and is Salah back?
Salah is back, lads.
Yeah.
I've heard about Salah, so Salah as well. So Salah in the 9, Firmino in the 10, Jota and Minamino. But Minamino on the right, by the way. Minamino, I don't want to see him play striker. I don't know about you, and I don't know about your thoughts. I know that not everyone's sitting there just analysing Minamino for the whole 90 minutes, but I just don't think that's his position. I even think from his days at Salzburg, when he was playing next to Haaland, I feel like he's better more out on the width. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I haven't watched them right. But that's just my opinion. I don't think he's a central player.
I disagree. I agree with you on hate Minamino. I nearly said Mamino. One of my guys. Shout out to the guy who doesn't know how to say Minamino properly. One of my mates. I'm not going to mention his name. He's going to get embarrassed. But I nearly said Mamino. I agree with you. He's not a striker. But I also disagree with you. I hate him on the flanks. For me, Minamino is your perfect 10, possibly a very attacking 8. And that's his best role. He's just a busy bee. That's where he hurt us the most when we played them in both games. And as you said, that was his position for Salzburg. In the formation that we've played this season, I think he should have got a few more chances, because when we play that 4-2-4, it seems he could play in one of those
4-2 diamond. Just have him behind the tree.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's his role.
If you let him be the option on the ball back from either the front three or the ball into him from either Milner or Wijnaldum, you've got somebody who can spin on the ball and start creating things left, right, and centre. He'll drop passes in, and he'll also allow Salah to tuck in every now and then, Firmino to drop off and he'll go ahead of him, and Jose also likes to come from the centre as well. And even if Mane was playing, Mane sometimes drops in and he can push out wide. So I think Minamino allows us to be very, very creative up front.
Very, very, definitely. I think we all agree that Mane is another do not risk category. So we've got about 3 of those in the do not category. Cal, your forward line, is it a 4 or is it? No, you picked 3 midfielders, so it's a 3.
Yeah, 3. It is. So I actually want to see Minamino play from the left. I think the best we've seen Minamino play at Liverpool is that game against Newcastle, the last game of the season last season. And he was playing from the left. And I know it's not a big sample size to use, but I think that was his best performance and he looked really good in that game. So I'd like to see him play on the left. Plus it gives Mane a break. Salah, I think, should come in because he didn't play at the weekend, so he'll be fresh. And then I'm going for Origi through the middle. I'd like to see Firmino and Mane rested.
No one mentioned Origi.
Yeah, I think if
there's a reason
he's been in the basement, he's been in the basement, and I think if he can't even start this game, then I don't know.
The only reason why I didn't bring in Origi, even though I would love to see him play.
No, you forgot James.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
I know you forgot.
I just don't think. I don't know if he's a part of the plans no more. Even though, if it's me, I think he's the only striker at the club. Like when you talk about an actual striker, see what an actual striker is. It's not Firmino. It's Origi, and
it's a myth. It's a myth.
It's a myth, isn't it? Origi's become a myth, hasn't he, guys? From iconic figure, iconic goal scorer. He's actually become a myth. I agree with you,
He
Phil.
shouldn't play on the left, though. He shouldn't.
But that's what I'm
left.
saying. You said he's a number 9. Yeah. We haven't seen him play as an out-and-out striker for about 3 years. Every time he comes in, he gets plonked out on the left-hand side and he cuts in and does his trademark shot, which is a right-footed shot into the bottom corner, into the top corner from the edge of their 18-yard box. And that's why Klopp keeps putting him out there. He never puts him through the centre. Now, do I think he could do that? I think if Origi had gone to Wolves, he probably would be looking an absolute killer of a striker in terms of the service and quality he gets. But I just don't see how he fits into this team, because if he's going to come in and they put him out into one of the wide positions, he's never getting in ahead of Jose. And to be honest with you, he hasn't got the creativity that a Minamino or even a Shaqiri can do when he's fit. So it's like, and the same with Curtis Jones or even when Oxlade-Chamberlain comes in. So I can't see how Origi gets back in without a shitload of injuries in the team. And
the last time Origi played through the middle was actually Everton, Phil, and he got a brace in that.
Oh yeah,
when back last season.
It was a while ago.
Last season.
But I get. Look, I'm not Origi's biggest fan. I'll clear that up now before I get in trouble, Phil. Like I'm not his biggest fan, but I think in this game where you've got potentially him there as an option, and for me, you just rest Firmino, you rest Mane. I'd have rested Salah if Shaqiri was available, but he's not. So that's
okay. Guys,
do it.
Funes Mori. That's who we need to talk about, right? Funes Mori.
James, I agree with you, but we're running out of time. I haven't timed this very well. So look, we've given each other.
We haven't even talked about the fact that Sportiello is the goalkeeper for Atalanta.
We're just
and he didn't play at the weekend.
We may touch on that, but I need to we've given each other plenty of time and thought and ideas and formation and squad players to finally pick an 11. So James, I want you to pick your starting 11 after we've discussed, because we may have swayed your mind. We may have thought, oh no, they're talking bollocks. So what's your final 11 for tomorrow, everyone?
Hey, I value everyone's opinion here. Alisson in goal. Am I going first, by the way, or are we all going together?
No, you're going first.
Sweet. So 4-2-3-1, I'm going just with the lack of midfielders. So in goal, Alisson. Left back, I'd go with Shimikas. Right back, I'd go with Nico Williams. Centre backs, I'll go with, knowing the information now that Reece Williams is available, I didn't know that before, I'll say Reece Williams as well as Matip as well. And then in midfield, Gini, Milner, and then just in front of them, the front four will be Salah up front, Firmino in the 10, Jota and Minamino.
Pretty strong, basically. Pretty strong. Cal, go on.
Alisson definitely in goal. Williams right back, Williams centre back, Matip and Tsimikas. Then I'm going Jones, Milner, and Gini in midfield, and then Salah, Origi, and Minamino up top.
Okay, Phillips.
Adrian and goal, and we'll play any random lads we can find. I know I got Alison and goal.
You mentioned Adrian, and my hand was hovering over the
Alison and goal, and we go Nico Williams right back, we go Matip and Williams centre back. I'm going Robertson left back. Then I'm having Milner and Gini centre midfield, and then I'm having Minamino in front of them, and then Jota, Firmino and Salah in front of those lads. So we're going ultra, and the reason I'm putting the three up there is because they're playing three at the back, and if you put the three lads on that's how we more than the last time. Like that's just how their centre backs weren't able to deal with it, and you've just got lots of goals all over that team. So
and I'm assuming we're all planning on taking a 3-0 lead and then make use of those 5 substitutes and then take off the 5 most players that are in the danger zone type thing, in terms of injuries.
Yeah.
I think we've covered it very extensively, and I think we're ready to roll tomorrow. Some final predictions before we go. Take your time in the predictions because I've got to end this broadcast properly, not like the start. So go, James. Give me your first while I work away. You know how it is.
I'm confident about tomorrow, boys. I'm not gonna lie. I understand the team has had a lot of troubles. I understand that it's not a must win, and Atalanta actually need to win this game. However, I think it's still going to be a strong win. It's Champions League back at Anfield, baby. 3-1 to the Reds.
Phillips. No, I'm going to go to Cal because I want Phillips to last about 2 minutes. Go on, Cal.
I'm going 3-1. I'm confident about this game. And I genuinely think that we could see some good performances from a couple of the fringe players, and I think that would do the squad and their personal confidence the world of good. So I'm going 3-1.
Pretty confident. Go on, Phil.
I don't really care. I just want to see Diogo Armando Maradona continue his form. The world's greatest footballer that they've ever seen. Like somebody said during the week that he's Luis Suarez without the biting at the moment because he's just that fella who's popping up everything. Right, and he's honestly. You can't. He's electric. It's like when Salah came in at first. It was just electric to watch. I adore Salah. I think Salah is the greatest player we've had ever. Right, because you just can't do what he does for this club. And when he goes, only then will he truly get the recognition that he deserves. Because he's just a gem. And it's with that. It's just every time you look at it, you just go, this is great. These are great players to watch. So even though we haven't got a great midfield, you've just got lads who are prepared to run their bollocks off them. And Maradona is going to turn up. I think he might have a hand of God goal as well. The VAR won't work and we get away.
There's no VAR, is there, in Champions League? Yeah.
So he'll get in with an old sneaky one over the top of the goalkeeper, who could be Pierluigi Collini, who is, of course,
people. Phil always has a fun stat or something, quirky, and this is Phil's stat of the day. Of the day.
Atlantis rested the players at the weekend.
He calls them Atlantis, by the way. No, he does it on purpose.
Right, so they basically rested a load of players, and Marco Sportiello, which is the best name ever for a footballer, right? Don't mind he's a goalkeeper, but Sportiello is what do you do? I'm a Sportiello. It's perfect, right? He gets dropped, and Pierluigi Collina's son, Pierluigi Collini, because it's obviously Italy, so they changed their name slightly, right? He plays in goal instead, so it's great. It's great. It's like all these lads. They played your man Duvan Zapata. I don't know if he's related to Christian Zapata, because that would have been known as the Jesus shoe, because it's Christian shoe, because Zapata is obviously a shoe in Spanish. So it's like they're all great. They're great lads. These Atlantis lads just don't exist. So for me, I think it'd be 9-6.
No, that's a fair shout. I think 9-6 high scoring. Exactly. Yeah. Lads, I think we better finish it off. I think we've all done a brilliant job. Everyone give a pat on the back for each other. James, it's been a pleasure having you, mate.
Thank you for
having me. Hope to have you on much more as well. Thank you very much for coming 100%. On. Cal, I know you're busy. Family man, podcaster, man, superstar, host, everything. Really thank you. Appreciate you coming on as well, pal.
Pleasure's all mine. I love you guys, so thank you very much. And just to say, Phil, it's the first time we've worked together. If my little one ever steps out of line, I'm going to send him to you for discipline.
100%. He's the man.
You are the man, Phil. I love
it. I've got many kids, so it's grand. I'm well used to it.
Hopefully, guys, I've got to admit, Phil hates doing pods, and I've had to sort of force him out of retirement. We done one last week, which was quite fun. Hopefully he's enjoyed this one as well, and we'll get him on more. Hopefully, because he's got brilliant insight into the game. So that's about it, guys. That was your preview from the LFC Daytrippers community. We're gonna say goodbye and end this podcast hopefully the right way. Give me 2 seconds. Over and out.